Hi, welcome back to Sports Debate on this amazing Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving. We have some interesting topics for you, and we're going to start with Shivam. So the first topic is going to be which team has a terrible record and is a bad team, but statistically, if you looked at their stats, you'd expect that they were a good team.
All right, so my bias might show into this, but I'm gonna say the Giants because if we start off with their defense actually isn't that bad. They're 12th in scoring defense, giving up like 23.6 points per game. They're 12th in turnovers as well, giving taking 15 total turnovers. They're third in the league with 25 sacks. They have, in my opinion, the best cornerback this season in James Bradbury. They have one of the best tacklers in the league in Blake Martinez. The stats back that up. Leonard Williams is up there in defensive tackles for the amount of sacks that he has. He has 5. So that and Patrick Graham's scheme and all those kind of versatile players. That defense is not that bad. They're an above average defense when you look at them statistically, and that defense has kept the Giants in many games this year. Now, their offense, that's the problem with this team. But I think that the offense, the numbers are kind of skewed by the first couple of games where Daniel Jones and the whole entire offense have to learn a new system, right? A new head coach, new offensive coordinator over Zoom. And there wasn't really that many practice reps where they can effectively learn the system. So I think that because of those first couple of games, the whole offensive stats are kind of skewed. But if we just take a look at the last 4 games, I mean, they're averaging 144 and a half rushing yards per game over the last 4 games. So that obviously that running game is improving. And because that running game is improving, that has taken a lot of weight off Daniel Jones' shoulders. He hasn't turned the ball over in the last couple of games. They're picking up first downs. These are all kind of things that you want to see in a statistical category. And because of all this kind of stuff, they are on a little bit of a winning streak, and they have an opportunity to extend that. And they're doing this without their best player as well, right? Another kind of thing you can do is that Jason Garrett loves to run the ball. And I bet that majority of his plays in his playbook was revolved around giving the ball and putting the ball in the hands of Saquon Barkley. And when he went down in week 2, Garrett was kind of scrambling. So that Barkley injury with the COVID season kind of skewed the numbers up. But the last couple of games, the Giants offense has been playing well. That defense is an above average defense, and I don't think that they are a 3-7 team. They are much better than a 3-7 team. So my pick is the Giants.
All right.
Okay.
So you're wrong. Here's why. I'll pull Stephen A. But my answer is pretty short and simple, and I'm gonna go the Los Angeles Chargers. They're third in total yards on offense. They're fourth in passing yards, and they're top 10 in rushing yards. So that should indicate a top 5 offense pretty much. Defense, they're 11th in yards, which isn't fantastic, but just for reference, the Chiefs and Patriots, who are considered pretty good defenses, are behind them. They're 17th and 18th, something like that. And yet, like the Giants, they're only 3-7. It's the same record as the entire NFC East, which has a bunch of trash teams in it. So yeah, they have such a stacked roster, and they have the statistics to back it up, but somehow they only have 3 wins. And this is in large part due to them, I guess, choking in the fourth quarter. One of them against my Broncos. But yeah, they've come close a lot of the times, but in the end, a loss is a loss. And this is a really good team, but they just can't put it together for some reason.
Okay, so I don't think either of you are wrong. I think one of you is more wrong than the other. Shivam, I'm sorry, even though I am a Giants fan. And I do read a lot of Giants articles. But I thought until essentially last year's Super Bowl, when the Chiefs not dominated, but they beat the 49ers, I thought that defenses win games, they win championships. And I still think this to an extent, which is why I got to go with the Washington football team, formerly the Washington Redskins. And I think this because when I look at the stats, analytical, the deep stats and just the regular stats, they're top 5, top 6 in everything. Top 6 in fantasy for those who are fantasy fans. The only thing that they're bad at is rushing. And it's absurd to me because if you think about their defensive front, they're scary. They're 6th or 5th in the league in sacks per game, but they are 18th in rushing. Everything else is great. Kendall Fuller's an amazing corner. and they're first in passing yards allowed per game. So this is just absurd to me. Like, I don't think they're the best team in that division, but I also don't think that they're deserving of a 3-7 record. I think that's in large part because of the quarterback play down in Washington. But that defense should carry a team to more than 30% of wins. Wins in 30% of games.
I think that's really I think that's a good pick because I haven't researched too much statistics about the football team, but I know when you think about it, they're almost built exactly like the last year's 49ers, where they were really bad the year before. They got the second overall pick. I think the 49ers had the second overall pick. And they drafted the best rusher in the class out of Ohio State, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's constructed super similarly. Like that defense, that front seven is really scary, just like the 49ers. They're a super young team. And I guess Ron Rivera is a really good coach too. It's not like they have a bad coaching job. I think I would have expected that they were a dark horse playoff team for me coming into the year. So it is shocking to see that they aren't doing so well. But I just think the Chargers have such a like I said, they have such a stacked roster. Plus the statistics back them up. So I think they should be doing really good, but they're not.
Daniel Jones had no turnovers against that Washington team. Daniel Jones doesn't turn over the ball against a defense. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. I just think when you're top 6 in every statistical stat besides rushing yards, you should be winning more than 30% of your games. And I also think that it's sad that they invested so much into their front line and they can't handle the rush. They're 18th in the league and they can't handle the rush. And I also think that next year, despite the fact that I hate to say this because I'm a diehard Giants fan, I think that if they can get Zach Wilson, I like Zach Wilson more than Trey Lance. Zach Wilson at BYU, Trey Lance out of the North Dakota State University. I think that they'd be a very good team because they have weapons. They have Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin. And I don't see how you could be such a good defense but not a good team. And
yeah, I think that's large in part because that, like you said before, that revolving door at the quarterback. Since their offense is, not the best. They get on the field for a couple of seconds and then they get right back off. So it doesn't really give the defense that much time to rest. And when the defense really doesn't have that much time to rest, that coincides to fatigue later on in the game, and that's when offenses can usually do their work.
I guess I might have had over expectations for Chase Young because from what I've heard about him and what I've seen from his college film, I thought he was going to be the next JJ Watt, and he's looking.
Yeah, they called him a generational type talent.
Yeah, he's been a little. He hasn't had that Nick Bosa impact yet. He's been a little underwhelming, but I think next year they definitely are in position to do really well since Montez Sweat's going to be good. All these guys are super young, so they're just they can only go up really.
Unless they screw up a draft pick in typical Washington fashion.
Yeah, and I also think that they might win enough bad games. Not even that, but Zach Wilson, he's a very good quarterback, but he's had shoulder injuries in the past, and that offensive line is not a stellar offensive line. So something bad could happen because Washington just seems to have bad luck with their first-round quarterbacks, RG3, Dwayne Haskins. And I think that might happen, and I feel bad for Zach Wilson or any quarterback that has to stand behind that offensive line and then have to play catch-up because they can't score, which is a large part why their rushing defense is so bad, because teams get an early lead and just pound the rock consistently. But I think the Chargers will do well, and hopefully the Giants are the future perennial power in the NFL.
They'll get McKinney back. They'll get Barkley back next year. And hopefully they don't screw up a draft pick wherever they pick.
Yeah.